Are we okay? Yeah. Okay then. Well, friends, can I welcome you all to this meeting of the authority? First of all, a couple of apologies. Apologies that we are late. We had issues to resolve, and I do apologise for that. I hope that didn't inconvenience members of the public in joining us today. The second apology is that if you look at the agenda for item 9.1, the International Dark Skies Reserve update, we've had to postpone that because sadly, Nick Busby from the Astronomical Society has had a bereavement. I'm sure we extend our sympathies to him and recognise that that is the way that it is, and we're very sorry that he couldn't be with us today. But obviously, our thoughts and our prayers and our good wishes go to him. I'm very mindful as well at the beginning of this meeting. I live in the Kilbendir area of RCT, and I know that many of us have been affected by the floods of late, and that is problematic. And I'm sure that we would want to assure the members of the public that we're very mindful of what has happened, and to express our concern about the issues that they have to face. And it is obviously very much a strong reminder to us of how much of an imperative climate change and handling it really is. So please, if you could just record those initial comments. I have apologies from Steve Rayner, Simon Howarth and Peter Baldwin. Is there any others to be recorded, Gemma, if I may ask? No other correspondence. The second item we have here
Chair.
is correspondence. Sorry, yes.
Sorry, Chair, I thought you might linger just a moment longer on the apologies. Unfortunately, because of attending a funeral, I will need to leave shortly after, well, around midday, I think, to be safe.
Oh, thank you for reminding me, William. Apologies, and we fully understand your apologies. Scott, do you wish to speak at this point as well? Thank you.
Yes, sorry, Chair, only very briefly.
Yeah.
We've had an issue without clean running water, and we've got an emergency briefing with the CEO of Dŵr Cymru at about 11:30, so I will have to leave to go to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's understandable, Scott, and I'm sure you'll convey the wishes of this authority to the people that are affected by those floods, Scott, and thank you. And Andrew, I think your hand up this as well, thank you.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Yeah, I'm afraid I'll have to leave at 12 o'clock as well due to pressing council business, unfortunately. Diolch.
Okay. Well, shall I encourage all members to that we should do our business expeditiously? I think is the right word, if that's okay. Okay, friends, unless there are other comments, just to go move on to correspondence, item 2. Gemma, I'm not aware of any. So it's good. I had an issue with declaration of interest. Do we want to speak those now, Gareth, or will we do that in full session?
Yes, just obviously Powys County Council members, the alternative accommodation, as Powys County Council mentioned in the report, I declare a personal non-prejudicial issue on that agenda item, and I encourage the members to do so who are appointed by Powys County Council.
And myself also,
Chair. Ed, yes.
And me also.
And Edwin, yeah. So could these please be noted?
Yeah, this myself as well, Hugh, Chairman.
Yeah.
And I also declare an interest non-prejudicial.
Yeah.
Chair, and I also declare a personal non-prejudicial interest in that matter in relation also to the discussion that will ensue on the nutrients statement proposal. Because of the nature of the issue and the profundity of its effect on my community, I have to declare a personal and I fear also prejudicial interest in that matter.
Thank you, William. That is understood. And can I thank all the councillors for those declarations? Are we happy that we've recorded all of them as appropriate now? Are we all agreed? Thank you very much, members. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi aelodau am wneud hynny. Item 4, item 4, public speaking. I have no request for public speaking, so that we can issue that resolve that issue quickly. And now we move on to the minutes for the 27th of December to approve the following minutes and authorize the chair to sign them as the correct record. Any comments, or shall we proceed directly to a vote? Hugh, you still have your hand up. Is that a legacy hand?
It's a legacy hand. Sorry,
Okay.
Chair. Sorry.
Don't worry. Okay, no problem. Craig?
Diolch, Gadeirydd. Just a quick comment about the Welsh Language Monitoring Report. There was a point raised at the meeting regarding future reports showing the growth or decline in Welsh language delivery to our young people, and the officer who attended acknowledged that point and said that that was possible to do. It's not recorded in the minutes. It might not necessarily need to be recorded in the minutes, but I just wanted to make sure that the point wasn't lost, so that we're not just looking at a statistic for 1 year, we're seeing growth or decline in that, obviously an important subject for us. So okay. I'll leave it to officers to determine whether to amend the minutes or not.
Okay. Craig, be nawn ni gofnodi bod hynny wedi ddweud, ond nawn ni ddim newid y cofnodion. What we'll do is we'll note the fact that has been said today, and that is there for us to remember, but if you're content, we won't change the minutes for today, if that's okay. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Craig. Okay then, friends, if there are no other comments, can I please have a proposer and a seconder for us to agree the minutes, if I may, please? Can I have a proposer? Gareth and Hugh, thank you. As a seconder, thank you. So, shall we proceed to a hand vote, is it, Jem? Or do you want to do this? Yeah, just do a hand vote. Okay, if you put your hands up, friends. I think that has passed, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. And
I wasn't there, Chair.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, okay. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Edwin. And to receive the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee for the 16th of September, and that's hands only again, just for noting, if that's agreed. Can we please show hands to agree? Okay, thank you very, very much. Okay then. And friends, just from me as chair's announcements, I've already spoken at the beginning for the issue of floods, which is of key importance to us. Just to explain to you in the public domain that it has been a really busy 2 months, and the period between our 2 national park meetings has been extremely busy. I've been very involved with CJCs, and I know that members from 2 other CJCs have been involved as well. We've been having very good conversations with partners. I reflect here on Monmouth and the leadership there. We've had a really good meeting, and that was shared with other members. That was good. I've had lots of public interest in terms of going to civic events, and that has been very much valued and appreciated. I still pop into meetings on a strategic level, on a national level in Wales. I'm thinking of the local government partnership, the rural forum, the chairs meeting, and I've also undertaken training with our own Hugh Rees, which I think has been immensely useful not only to me but to other members. I'd just like to highlight as well that I've done the appraisals for my colleagues in Welsh Government. I hope to clarify them over the next few days. And I've also had my own appraisal with the civil service. And out of that, we've set up a good set of targets for the coming 6 months so that we can actually make progress. And I can share that with members as you see fit. And just to say as well that if you do want to have one-to-one time with me, I have decided that I need to spend more time with individual members and to develop the authority internally. If you would like a conversation with me, please, if you could, come back to me. So that's just my brief report. William, I notice you have your hand up. Thank you.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. I just wanted to pick up to thank you for for your remarks about the floods, particularly those areas most affected. I also thought perhaps it was relevant to raise the issue of the emotive issue of the Cwm Tillary landslip, because our minister, before he came up to the Winter Fair on Monday, visited the scene and engaged with residents and council leaders. Clearly, Councillor Peter Baldwin isn't with us today, but maybe it would be appropriate for you to write to the leader of Blaenau Gwent, expressing our concern and solidarity over this matter. There are people on this call who are closer in their communities to these issues than perhaps some of the rest of us, but I think it's given the echoes of that particular matter, it's probably appropriate, and just to add to the reference you've already made to the impact of Storm Bert and other related matters.
Yes, thank you, William. That's very useful, and I will gladly do so. Just to highlight, we've been very involved with preparing for today's meeting and the papers and the processes involved with that. I'm very grateful to colleagues, particularly fellow chairs and deputy chairs, for taking us to that good point. But thank you for that, William. So I think that's enough for me, I think. So can we now go to the Chief Executive's report with Catherine? Diolch yn fawr, Catherine. Thank you.
Diolch, Cadeirydd, bore da pawb. Just a few things from me. I just wanted to record thanks to all of our colleagues at Pembrokeshire Coast National Park Authority for recently hosting the National Parks Wales member seminar, which a number of colleagues around the table attended. Excellent sessions and organisation, and a really strong theme of inclusive access to our landscapes, which we'll sort of pick up over time, and we reference later in our agenda. I also just wanted to flag that Aled and I, together with other National Park Authority colleagues, went to the National Parks Partnership Big Ideas Forum a few weeks ago. Key part of the discussion there was the unveiling of the new National Parks Partnership strategy from 2024 to 2027, focused on growing our collaboration as a family of national parks, growing impactful partnerships that bring different perspectives and different revenue streams into our landscapes and help us to deliver our management plans, and that are focused on driving the pace and scale of nature restoration in our national parks through the flow of private finance. So a really important partnership, and a very good session that we both attended. Regarding flooding, obviously associate myself with the remarks already made, but particularly wanted to flag thanks to our warden team who are out on our footpaths and bridges checking for safety. We've had a few bridges that have gone south by some miles, and quite a lot of damage out there on the path. So to members of the public, please do take care, be adventure smart, and we will address those issues as much as we can. And then just finally to flag, it's been a very busy period. The pressing issues of the finances of the authority are something that we've been very focused on, working closely with the chair and deputy chair, a number of conversations with my senior team as well. We've also met Welsh Government, Audit Wales, where we're expecting the outcomes of 3 very significant audits, follow-up work on our statutory recommendations, a report on inclusive access across the 3 parks in Wales, and a look at how we are doing in setting and monitoring our wellbeing goals as part of the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act. Also recently met Natural Resources Wales and other partners and stakeholders locally and nationally, really very focused on our financial challenges and how we continue to further our management plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Professor. I don't see. Oh yes, Liz. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add as well. I've been to 2 different events this last week, which I think we've really done ourselves proud as a park, quite strategically. We had the visit of the Wales Infrastructure Commissioners last week. I'm sorry I couldn't be there on the Thursday, but certainly last Friday, doing the farm walk and the talk and the interaction with the high school children in Crickhowell. I just think it just showed how we facilitate things and how we bring key partners together. And it was great great to see the Secretariat give such a glowing letter back of thanks for that. Just one thing, there's lots of things that struck me. One thing that struck me when talking to one of the commissioners, just the lack of realisation how small a staff team we are, just shows how we're actually hitting above our weight in terms of that. And just briefly, that's not more strategic. I was just so proud yesterday to go on the webinar for the Green Finance, where I think it was about 40 people from academia, across organisations coming together, and we facilitated that. Simone actually chaired that. And I think that's exactly where we're at. We're a small team, but we're hitting above our weight, and we're facilitating and leading the debate on that. So I just wanted Chair and Catherine to flag those two things up, because I think they were very important in that last week.
Well, diolch yn fawr iawn, Liz. Edwin, I see your hand up, diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Thank you, Catherine, for a real comprehensive roundup of what's been going on as of late. And yes, I can concur that the meetings down with the All Welsh Parks Conference, I think that's a fantastic move. It gives us all to interject with each other and see what the other parks are doing. And I would like to think that the new members have learned a lot by meeting the other boys as well. However, I would like if we went into the financial side of what is happening within the park a little bit more deeper, so that we as members would more fully understand what's going on, shall we say. And I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of many of the others as well. Diolch.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Edwin. Can I just, trying to know if any other conversations, just to say from my point of view, and I'm sure I speak for all of us, that we want to reaffirm our gratitude to all the staff and the wardens for the good work that's been done. Thanks, Liz and Edwin, for those comments. Do you want to respond to the issue of financial reports? I think we've got our processes and we've gone through them, haven't we, Catherine? So do you want to speak to that?
Sorry, can I come back, Chair? Sorry, just a quick one. I again would really like to thank what the wardens have been doing. I've been involved lately with Ivion on one or two rights of ways, and one particular one which has been very tricky, to be fair, and it's taken a lot of delicate handling. One down in by Abercrave, and a very, very good friend of mine. And Ivion came along special, so I very much appreciate the extra mile that he done, and with Stefan as well. So llawer o diolch I nhw. Good, thank you.
Diolch yn fawr iawn am y sylw caredig yna, Edwin. Diolch yn fawr iawn, thank you for that. Catherine, can I just close our session with a brief comment on the finances?
Thank you. Diolch yn fawr for the comments about the warden teams from members, really appreciated, and Rights Away team as well. And also Liz for mentioning those two events, which were really superb. And actually the webinar Green Finance also involved colleagues from the National Parks Partnership as well. So, that partnership working well. On the finances, thank you, Councillor Roderick. I think we sort of had hoped to give you a further update before Christmas. I think the issue for us is waiting for the Welsh Government budget to be settled so that we then can have a clear picture about what's happening to our budgets over the coming years. So we will provide an update as soon as we can. We did have the opportunity to try and bid for some NGIA flexibility money, which we've done as a team. Again, with recent flooding events and so on, not sure what the priorities will be in Welsh Government for that spend now. So we're very much in a holding pattern. As soon as we've got a clear indication about the sort of shape of the finances for the coming year, we'll let you know. But as it stands today, we have no certainty over our budgets at all for 2025-26. That's the position in a nutshell. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Professor. Diolch yn fawr Edwin a Liz hefyd. Professor, we now move on to our decision-making part of the meeting, and just to highlight for members of the public who may be listening in, I'm very grateful to our staff here for rearranging the way in which we do our meetings. And we now have a section for decision making, and then later a section for voting. So I think we have some crucial decisions to make. And item 8.1 is the operating model and the charter. And just give us a brief introduction from me. It has been huge fun being part of this process. It's been very, very productive and very good to share in that process with the staff and colleagues. But I'm now going to go on to John and then Steph as well, for you to give a brief presentation of the rationale of what we're about with the Charter. So, John, over to you, if I may. Diolch yn fawr.
Oh, diolch, Cadeirydd. Is it possible to share screens with the presentation we put together, please?
Yep, I'm just pulling it
up now.
Thanks very much.
I think we're getting there, friends.
Very grateful for Steph.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Oh, okay. Sorry, 1 second.
Whilst that's happening, I'm very grateful for Steph in having facilitated the technology here, and I hold my hands up to anything that is a bit odd. And leave you with that thought whilst it comes up.
Okay.
Just give us a few seconds, Ben. I think we're almost there, friends. Hopefully.
Right, I'm coming up with an error message.
We're with you, Steph, don't worry.
Oh, okay, that looks optimistic.
Hey.
So I think, can everyone see that okay?
We can't display content.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay. Can members see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
I can see your product chart. Yeah.
Oh, I can't see it. That's not helpful, is it?
Oh, yeah, it's up now.
Oh dear. Maybe if you. Is it popping up in your chat, maybe, John?
I've got to, in the middle of where it should be, I've got can't display content.
Okay.
Right, maybe if I look at my original.
Yes.
I did make a few tweaks, so let me just send you through.
Right, this is going to be a bit tricky for my brain working out but we'll manage.
Okay, two seconds, bear with. Okay, I'm sending it through now.
Okay.
So can everybody else see?
Yes, try your best, John. We're with you.
Right.
Okay, it's just sending now, so you should have it any minute.
Right.
I made a few minor tweaks. So
right. Okay,
just while we're waiting for John to receive the presentation, if we'll go through the slides. It is just a brief recap and of the work we've done. Hopefully everyone's read the report and the attachment of the charter, and then we'll take any questions at the end, if that's okay, just so we have time to cover everything off. But it is just a brief oversight into the work that's been done by the working group set up to work through this.
Right.
Have you had it, John?
Oh, I've got it in front of me now, yes, but obviously it's not easy to see what you're seeing. But we'll have to try and synchronize.
Okay.
So
try your best, friends.
Okay. Bear with me then, please. So, operating charter model. Doesn't that sound exciting? Oh, something's missing. Never mind. Oh, have you taken up my funnies?
I have, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, that's thrown me. Oh, blimey, sorry. Sorry, folks. My notes are based around certain things, and I'm just trying to get my act together. Some of the visuals have changed. So, in bringing this together, I'm not the best person you'd think. My persona outside this environment is the punk professor, and I have to fight some anarchic tendencies to think, oh, here we go with another policy X, policy Y, more paperwork. This isn't very exciting, is it? But in spirit with what the National Park does, we are ground trailblazers and making a difference. And we set up this group called Ways of Working, which there were now some graphics that said, wow. The Ways of Working group was set up by all of you and inviting us to be part of the team to review the charter. And these are the members, myself, Julian, Alid and Steve. and with huge support from officers. We're very grateful for all. Now, when we started with this, we realised that there was a legacy that was inevitable, that we couldn't avoid, which was in part a legacy of fear as to what had happened before many of us joined. Some of you remember this. But what we wanted to address was a way of working together that would be innovative and protective and enable us to maximise the member potential and to allow the officers and staff to feel comfortable with who we were as members, to establish effective and supportive working relationship, and to acknowledge that there was a resource capacity. I'm going on to the next slide. Right, okay, you've kept this in, thank you. Bear in mind, my notes are out of sync now with these slides.
It's your citizen slide, John.
Yeah, I'm on the citizen slides. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Bear with me. So the spirit of what this group was about was to come up with a report that would help us all work together supportively and overcome fear and make us feel safe to do so. And I would really urge everybody in the park to read this magnificent book, because it's by John Alexander, called Citizens, which captivates the spirits of what it is like to work as a community of people collaborating to overcome challenge. And we are in the park collaborating to overcome challenge, the environment, the pressures we all know about, but also the challenge of working together in the legacy of what came before us. And this is a really encouraging and optimistic book, which brings to strength how we can all do this effectively. And I think the Charter is effectively a condensed version of how we do this in this book. It's called Citizens. So what we wanted in this policy was to learn to work together where we could share our ideas collectively and not be met with rebuke, but allow our aspirations to shine through. And that was very much the way we want to follow. So the principles that shine throughout this document are that it's respectful and constructive and proactive, and we support each other and we're ready. Now, that's not a very good example from me this morning, because I'm not ready with these slides out of sync and my notes, never mind. The anarchic punk professor didn't want this to be another rehash of a policy from somewhere else. And like most of the things we do in the park, we aspire and we become trendsetters and market leaders. And we want this way of working charter to put on paper a way that will, as Catherine's previously said, set signals to our funders and government overseers that we are being supportive and meeting our targets, and that they'll develop a confidence with this. We've seen that we can do this. We've done this with EDI. We've seen in Pembrokeshire just now, when you went up to Northumbria, EDI was shining forth, and we appointed EDI members here. We've been trendsetters in Bannabrycheiniog with donatism. And yes, we hope that this report this charter will enable us to be really constructive and set a model for how we work in the future. So it will supplement other work going on and work in harmony with the communication team, and will enable us to manage meetings more effectively and to work better as collaborators and develop us better. So that leaves us with the final question. You've got the report in front of you, and I've really not done it justice because what I put in my slides has not matched my brain. So I'm very sorry that.
It's okay. If I could just jump in, Chair, just a couple of points. So just to clarify, the document itself it's a key milestone in our journey to governance excellence, and it's something we've been talking about for quite a while. It complements existing documents we've got, such as the Code of Conduct and Member Officer Protocols, but it also provides assurance on what good should look like. I should stress what it isn't. It's not used to enforce behaviour. It's more how we hold ourselves accountable, and it's what we aspire to rather than what needs to change. So this isn't to say that members and officers aren't meeting these standards already. It's just to put there clear in writing how we want to function as an authority. So I think the quote that came up during the working group was "function by aspiration, not rebuke," which I think really captures the essence of it. The principles are essentially behaviours that run through all the commitments as a common thread and should be used as a lens for everything we do. And then if we go back to the commitments themselves, these are the 8 commitments there. They're all achievable and they're all realistic. We're not asking for anything unrealistic. Each commitment in the document sets out a desired outcome and what needs to be done to achieve that outcome. So, you know, if maybe you looked at the document and thought it was a bit dense and a bit overwhelming, if you just read the outcomes and the commitments themselves, that will really clarify everything for you. Ultimately, the aim is that having this charter will help us streamline our processes and be more efficient, which is essential when we're struggling with capacity and resource. So, you know, work smarter, not harder. In terms of next steps, what now? We hope the first step will be members approve the document today. Hopefully, if that happens, we will continue to meet Team Charter to review the document. As John said, it is a living, working document. It's not a one and done. We will continue to review and amend as needed. And then the next step will be to operationalise the document. So that will be done through the working group, an action plan and a comms plan. So if anyone has any questions, myself and John and the rest of Team Charter will happily take them. Craig, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation and the information and the document. I thought it was very clear and very good, and I wanted to congratulate and compliment everybody who's been involved to set this out so clearly in terms of, you know, the member and officer responsibilities. I think in terms of where we've been and what we aspire to, it's great. And so I've got no comment on the actual content of it. I'd be very happy to vote in favour of it when we come to that point. So I didn't think it was dense at all. I thought I was reading it and it was assimilating with me, and I thought this is really very, very good stuff in terms of culture and governance and everything else. My question is more about it sort of. I think you might have in part answered it already, Steph. It's the what's next. So how is this going to be embedded? You know, the content of it embedded. You know, not so much about how to hold us to account, more about, you know, creating the right culture. And I did have a question down about, you know, will there be an annual review? And it sounds like there will be a review process. And I think it would be good if it comes back to the authority to note any changes and that kind of thing, almost as a reminder about what we're aspiring to as well, because otherwise these things end up on a shelf. So I think that would be good. And I would also, you might have this in mind already, but if it could be part of the induction process for staff and members as well, I think that's another way to keep it as a live document that says, you know, these are the expectations, this is the culture we're trying to set, and this is your responsibility as an officer, or this is your responsibility as a member. I think that would be really good. So overall, well done.
Thank you, Craig. And just on the information for new starters, that was a point that was raised during the working group when we were finalising the document. Absolutely, it's a how-to guide and what good looks like for new members. You know, we are aware that we get members from all walks of life. We've got some who are brand new councillors who have never done anything in the civil service or anything in the public sector, and those who are, you know, very seasoned and know their stuff, or maybe have some bad habits they've learned. So by having this document, it really sets out what good looks like. So no, I think that's a very valid point. Councillor Ratcliffe, did you want to come in?
I'm going to be very short and sweet because Craig actually beat me to the question around the review, so thank you, Craig. Just thank you to John for the presentation and Steph, and thank you to the members and officers all taking part, and that's all I need to say, so well done.
Thank you. Anyone else, or shall I stop sharing?
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you,
Okay.
Steph.
Liz,
sorry,
I can see Liz's hand is up, sorry.
I thought there's somebody else before me. I can't see
sorry,
who it is.
That's okay, William. Do you want to go and I'll come in after you? It's all right. I did have
Okay,
my hand
very
up.
happy to. Yeah, I mean, as so often, Craig's got in there with all the key nuggets that I wanted to raise, but I'm only left really to appeal for this to be shared as the journey goes on with fellow national parks and possibly with constituent authorities. I mean, it seems to me that there's a big read across to the tasks of audit and risk and the wider governance process, and particularly at a time when, as in a recent presentation that One Voice Wales received from the Ombudsman, we've got a sort of surge in Ombudsman activity, and much of it fairly fruitless and kind of time wasting and recriminatory in nature. This seems to be, a very holistic, organic process that we see in front of us. And thanks to the members who've dedicated time and resource and the officers who've achieved this. But I think it mustn't stay on the shelf, and it must be a living document, and it must also be shared as appropriate with partner organisations. And I just make the appeal that happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Liz, did you want to come in?
Yes, quite a lot has been said. I was going to thank you for a very clear document. I was going to ask something about how this is, how this is taken forward. But I just make one other point, really. In the section about meetings, you talk about 75% attendance. Well, I just think there's got to be, as we go forward, a bit of granularity around that, because, there's the ones that we need to be at and we're required to be at. I mean, I'm sure, like a lot of other people, I'm just so interested in various things. And I get invited to a lot of different things. So 75% over the overall invitations to some of the nice things might be a little bit high sometimes, especially if you look about the number of days that we're allocated. Not that anybody is counting the days, but I just think just a little flag about going forward, just to have a bit of granularity about what that means in terms of meetings, because there's some that are core to the authority and some that we want to give our expertise in terms of helping capacity. But the more you do, the higher that bar of the 75% becomes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Sorry, Craig, did you want to? Not Craig. Alan, were you talking?
Yeah, just to ask, please, Steph, that we close now. Thank you for the comments, and just to say, Steph, and possibly John to close, because you have to move on from there. But many thanks for the contributions. But if you could respond, Steph, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I don't know if anyone else thinks otherwise, but this isn't a protocol, it's not a code of conduct, so there is entirely that space for granularity. As you said, it's not as if there are repercussions from not meeting this. This is just, if we aim for 75% and we fall slightly below, it's still a much higher number. I think members are remunerated on the basis of 44 days per year, and that factors in reading as well as preparing for meetings. So I think what we have on currently for member development and member engagement wouldn't touch that. So, but I do take on board your comment, Liz, but just to reassure members that there will be no repercussions or no rebuke from not meeting these standards. It's just purely what good looks like and what we should be aiming for.
Thanks very much, Steph. I think, John, could you conclude for us? I can't see any other hands up. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah,
John,
thank you. Thanks very much, Steph, for rescuing that one. I just wanted to catch up on some of the things that my notes didn't, and the asynchronizity didn't stress. and that is that this is, I'm grateful for the positive remarks, a document that will evolve, of course. It's a document of recovery and looking forward, but there are nuanced and subtle aspects of the policy that are groundbreaking and innovative and will, if shared with Welsh Government, meet with applause for groups like Autism Wales and across the EDI sector. There are aspects that this would be seen as making a step in the stand, which is a very good thing to do for a member organisation. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Apologies, Julian, I didn't see your hand earlier on, so please, you're a member of the group, and I'd like, let's get your comment finally, if I may, please. Thank you, Julian. Apologies.
Yeah, thank you, Aled. Just to reinforce the matter, it's been a pleasure to be part of the group putting this together. Just one comment that I kind of made in the process in relation to meetings, which I don't think has been put down in this document, because obviously it's a movable feast. But I would put in, bang the drum, as it were, put in the plea that for meetings, where we can, where we're dealing with complicated and strategic issues, I think the benefit of us meeting face to face is one that I would like to see employed in all those meetings where it would be a real benefit. I can see the benefits of meeting on Teams for day-to-day issues and sorting out matters of routine. But I certainly think where we're talking about existential issues affecting the park, then there's nothing better than getting round the table and thrashing it out together, because I believe hearts and minds can be engaged in a much more effective way, not just brains. So there we are, that's my thought. And I'm sure it's something we need to bear in mind, even if it's not in this document, that it is important that we do meet together regularly as members face to face. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, John. And can I thank all the members for their contributions, and to John and Steph in particular, and once again to reiterate our gratitude to the members of the group. I enjoyed it as well, Julian. So thank you very much. So I'm now going to ask Jem to steer us through the voting process, if we can, to receive this document, if we can, please. Thank you.
Is there a vote taking place? Because I
didn't hear anything either.
Yeah.
No.
Also, we will now ask Gemma to take us through the voting process as usual. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, all. Something else was on mute, not my screen. So the recommendation is to approve the attached operating model charter. And so we've got Gareth, the proposer, John Hunt, happy to be seconder. Perfect. I will run through members' names now, and if you can please state for, against, abstain, and I will note your vote down. If we start with Dr. Liz Bickerton.
For.
Mr. Julian Steadman.
For.
Councillor Peter James.
For.
Councillor Andrew Davis.
Obliged. For.
Canon Aled Edwards.
Obliged.
Councillor Ed Jones.
For.
Thank you. Professor John Hunt.
For.
Mr. Craig Stevenson.
Obliged. For.
Councillor Edwin Roderick.
For.
Councillor Gareth Ratcliffe.
For.
Councillor Hugh Williams.
Obliged. For.
Councillor Scott Emanuel.
For.
Councillor William Powell.
For.
Councillor Liam Cowles.
For.
And I believe Councillor Jeremy Davis had an internet issue, and I don't think he's been able to rejoin as of yet. So leave that one back. So that has passed us 4. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. And thanks once again to everyone for that very stimulating debate, and also for the document. Let's proceed to item 8.2, which is scheme of delegation. And I'm going to put it in Catherine's capable hands, if I may. Thank you.
So scheme of delegation in front of you for approval today. We updated the scheme of delegation substantially in February 2022 as part of the follow-on actions to the statutory recommendations on governance that we had from Audit Wales. So it was a complete rewrite of the scheme. We've been operating that scheme for a couple of years now, and a few things have emerged which needed updating, and this scheme of delegation is effectively just an update to that substantial rewrite which took place a couple of years ago. So we've made some changes to a sort of streamline operational decision making in agreement with our monitoring officer. They mainly affect our planning service so that we can continue to provide a good service to the public who use our planning facilities. We made some slight changes to update on the committee structure, which members will be aware of. And then finally, we made some changes to take the chair of Finance and Performance Committee to be elected at the same time as the deputy chair of the authority, recognising the importance of that committee to our position as an authority, and also to help with succession planning amongst senior members. So those are the three areas of change. I didn't have anyone request the track changes version, but that is still available if any member would like to see it. But other than that, we will, if members approve the item today, redelegate then amongst officers below the National Park Authority so that we can then operate the scheme from next week. One final point just to make is that as we have with some of the papers later on the agenda in the private session of the agenda, any member can ask for any decision to be taken back to the level of the authority. So just to emphasise that all decisions come from yourselves as the National Park Authority. I act entirely at your discretion, as do my officers. So, you know, that facility is available at any time if anyone wants to sort of effectively call back a decision in consultation with the chair. And that's covered in our standing orders in terms of getting the support to do that. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Julian, I see your hand. Could you speak to the issue, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to confirm in relation to the change that's been proposed under Planning Committee, members may be aware that there is a change on page 8 of this report, the second bullet point down, which refers to objections to proposals from town and community councils or the Brecon Beacons National Park Society. This is a change that's resulted from discussions with both bodies, in fact, both one particular community council and also the Park Society over a period of time. And the change there reflects current practice, in fact, for the last 2 or 3 months. Gareth as Director of Planning and Place and myself as the Chair of Planning Committee at the moment have been talking through all applications that have had negative observations from those two particular bodies, although we do talk more widely very often as well about public representations as well. But I think it's very good that we do have this now formally in place so that both community councils, town councils and the Park Society can see that there is due process being made to really take seriously any comments that come through, and that's a joint officer and member decision as to how to proceed. So I'm very pleased about this. I think it's good practice. It actually doesn't require any additional work other than myself turning out as needed to just say yes or no, and I'm very confident that our officers can deliver it. So I'm really welcoming this and encouraging members to be supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. I think Gareth, you're next, I think.
Thank you very much. Yes, and thank you, officers, for the report. Really encouraging and pleased to see it here today. And just regarding the Chief Executive comments regarding call, and I'd like to thank you for that. I think that is really important. We have got one agenda item today that was a discussion that we were able to have with officers, and it was previously a delegated decision, but obviously the conversation we had now means it's a member's decision. So obviously just encouraging members to make sure that obviously they're looking at the forward programme and everything else so we can have early dialogue to have that with officers, especially around politically sensitive decisions that may come forward.
Diolch yn fawr, Gareth. I think, Craig, you're next. Craig, diolch yn fawr.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr. No comment on the changes. I particularly like the Vice Chair becoming the Chair of Finance and that having that line direct to the leaders within the authority. My comment was more about the terminology used in the tables. So given that the conference we attended was all about EDI, and the tables have still got chairman and vice chairman all the way through it, and they should be degendered to chair and vice chair. So if that amendment could be put in, I'd be very happy to vote for it.
Diolch yn fawr, Craig. I will close with William before I go back to Catherine, if I may. So William, over to you. Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. I'm very happy with the overall thrust of the paper. Particularly pleased to see the proposed tweaking to the arrangements for finance performance that impacts also across at audit and risk. I realise that that there probably is a good reason for the two separate committees, but I think it's been a bit clunky on occasion where in order to attend and be up to speed with finance performance as chair and vice chair, if is minded to attend a particular session, one has to come in effectively as a member of the public and have no opportunity then to engage or have any kind of additional insights. And I think this change, binding it in with the deputy chair of the authority role, does make rational sense at a number of levels, and I think it'll aid our work considerably. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr. Over to you, Catherine. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, good. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr. Thank you for those comments. Yes, thank you to Julian for mentioning. I meant to mention the changes on the planning committee, so thank you for raising those. On the degendering, yes, absolutely. In order to hit the timeline for publication, I had noticed that, but took the decision to put it through, and we will make those changes before it's finally republished in our library of documents. It was a sort of procedural thing where somebody else put the tables in for us, and I only spotted it, so my apologies. And of course, yes, in fact, Gemma and I very diligently degendered the standing orders, which will be the next thing coming. So we're very much on board with that. And then on the join up of the committees, I think that that was very much the intention. Those changes were asked for by the chair and deputy chair, and there's always the option to build in joint meetings of the two committees, etc., to make sure that join up's happening, and also through the chair's committee. But I do agree that would be a positive way to proceed. So thank you.
Thank you, Pres. Can I now ask Gemma to take us through the voting procedure as usual? Thank you.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. So, recommendation on this one is to approve the updated scheme of delegation as per the first vote. Please, can I have a proposer and a seconder? Julian, happy to propose. Peter James to second. So I will run through names. Can I please start? We're too much paper. Can I please start with Councillor Ed Jones?
Or.
Councillor Gareth Ratcliffe?
Or.
Councillor Peter James?
Or.
Mr. Julian Steadman?
For.
Councillor Liam Cowles?
For.
Councillor William Powell?
For.
Councillor Edwin Roderick?
Well,
thank you. Mr. Craig Stevenson?
Obliged. For.
Councillor Andrew Davis?
Obliged. For.
Professor John Hunt?
Obliged.
Dr. Liz Bickerton?
For.
Canon Aled Edwards?
Obliged.
Councillor Hugh Williams?
Obliged.
Councillor Scott Emmanuel?
For.
There you go, and that's unanimously for. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think we're agreed. Thank you very much, members. Just to remind you that we are postponing item 9.1 due to bereavement. So we'll now move on to item 10.1, which is the Independent Remuneration Panel. And can I remind members and also members of the public tuning in that these items are for noting only. So we neither we don't approve them or agree them or disagree with them. We merely note them. So Gemma, can I ask you please to take us through item 10.1, which is the Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales for a draft report. Thank you.
So in front today is the draft annual report for 2025-26 from the Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales. They're set up to determine the allowances for members of public bodies in Wales, which include councils, national park authorities and the fire service. This report was shared with members on the 15th of October to enable you to respond to the consultation because the end date is today. So I shared it in plenty of time. You should have a chance to reply if you wish. The proposals get consulted on, and following these considerations, a final report will be released with the determinations for remuneration at around February-March time, 2025. So the summary of determinations is in the report. There's an increase of normal member salary from 5265 to 5575. And the same for the chair from 14598 to 15462. And the deputy chair and committee chairs from 9005 to 9531. There's no other change with travel costs, nor the payment to the independent members of the chairs committee, standards committee. And I've outlined the financial impact that would have across the year. It's a £6,796 increase across the year for the budget for next year if it goes through as it is. That's all I have to say for now. It's just for noting as it is. I'll come back with the final report when it is released next year.
Thank you. Any comments, friends, or are we content to go? Gareth, thank you.
Yes, I would just like to make one comment. The report itself comes here every single year, and the press pick this up and say members vote on their salaries. It is not actually for members to vote on it. It is for noting. I would like us just to write back to the Independent Remuneration Panel and ask them how the local authorities receive these reports, because obviously it is assigned to members, and it does put members in a position where even when they note the report, they are criticised because of public perception, and I don't think that sits right. Myself personally, I've always abstained because I object to this report actually being here, and I'll be doing that again today. Obviously, when it comes to the full authority, because it's just for noting now, but I just want to put my disagreement with the way that this report is presented to local authorities and this authority.
Thank you very much, Gareth. I can see no. Sorry. Are we therefore? Thank you for that comment, Gareth. Are we all content then to note this? Thank you. All content. Thank you very much. Okay, let's now go on to item 10.2, which is Sustainable Development Fund Annual Report, and that will be led by Gareth and Barbara as well. Thank you. Gareth?
Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. So the brief members on the work of the Sustainable Development Fund in the 2023-24 financial year. Members will be aware that the fund provides grant support for a range of projects and initiatives for communities across the national park, and it provides some really positive and important outcomes and outputs. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Barbara. Barbara is our Sustainable Development Fund manager, and together with Helen Roderick, they administer the schemes. If I can hand over to Barbara to summarise the report. Thank you.
Diolch, Gareth. We're delighted to have this chance to highlight the work of what is mainly the communities around the National Park that we support through our Sustainable Development Fund. This is the 23rd report. The fund started back in 2000, and it's been a key part of our work with communities and groups for the past 24 years now. And having this fund to offer is just such an incredibly useful starting point to build relationships and make connections with people. It's one of the really important ways we have of achieving practical local action that also supports delivery of our management plan aims. And we get the pleasure of working with community volunteers who are always so full of ideas and enthusiasm and just want to do things that make things better for their communities and the wider world, building on that. So the fund sits in the communities team, but it's supported by everyone in the National Park Authority. We rely on specialist advice and guidance from all our colleagues and from the fund working group and panel. Really grateful for their support and the support of Chair Councillor Peter Baldwin. You'll see this year that there's been a particular focus, once again, quite rightly, on energy efficiency and renewable energy. We were able to secure a shared prosperity grant from Powys County Council last year that's extended what we've been able to offer this year, and we'll be reporting more on what that's delivered next year. There's also been a focus again on community-built heritage, which supports delivery of the Heritage Environment Action Plan, and we work very closely on that with heritage colleagues, and it would be great to extend that programme again in the future. It's a really popular strand of the programme. It isn't managed remotely, this fund. We work very closely with applicants to help with development of projects, signposting, sharing experiences, pointing them in the direction of other people who've been doing the same sort of thing elsewhere. And it can be daunting to start on an application form. I'm sure we all know that feeling, especially when you haven't done one before. So we were really pleased to have the applicant feedback that you can see towards the end of the report. It's just encouraging, really. It lets us know we're on the right track in our approach. And they also give us helpful suggestions about our process that we take on board and make changes to how we deliver the fund. I want to give special thanks to Tamara in the comms team who designed it and made it look far better than we ever could. So diolch Cadeirydd, I'm happy to answer any questions on it.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll go to John first, if I may, please. Thank you, John. Diolch yn fawr.
Oh, diolch, Cadeirydd. And I just want to comment, as the current Vice Chair, of everything that Barbara's just said, and to say how amazing Barbara and Helen are in running this scheme and reaching out and fulfilling so much of our mission. And it's been a joy to be a part of the panel and really exciting. And certainly we're working at the moment on a really exciting innovation, and which Craig and I are working with Barbara and Helen on, embedding EDI in the process, and the flexibility and the openness of everybody on board to listen and involve and interact with members and the community is just a phenomenon. It's something that should be trumpeted loud and wide, this scheme. It's the core of what we are as a park. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, then I think Gareth, you're next from the again.
Yes, thank you very much. As a veteran of the parks, I can say that now. For the number of the years I've been here, I've seen this this project make so many differences to the communities, and the 24th year, is a testament to the project and the people who worked on it now, Barbara and the team and everyone else previously and previous members. I think it's something we should be really proud of as a beacon into communities, because when you go out and about, at times you get kicked being a national park member, but at times also when they do come in on the positive stories, it's around the SDF. So thank you very much to yourselves, the members on the committee, previous members as well, and previous officers that worked on this project. It does make a big difference to communities, and I would like to see us, championing and sharing this information with the communities via press to show the brilliant work that that we do as a park, because I don't think we sell ourselves enough, and this is one of the brilliant beacons that we do that I think we do, we deserve the credit for.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Gareth. Liz, I think you're next.
Just to add my congratulations as well, and to reiterate, the positive feedback we get, out in the community for these grants. It very much is a shop window for the park. I was also very encouraged to hear that we're putting other funding through it from like SPF, and I think we shouldn't overlook that as members, that this is a vehicle that perhaps we could get more money for small grants out into our community through this vehicle. So its importance goes beyond just the bottom line in terms of what's going through it there at the moment, but there's huge potential to build on it for different themes, different initiatives, and take it forward as that shop front.
Thank you very much. That's very wise words. And finally, as I can see, William, thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Just to sort of further echo what's been said more eloquently than I can, how valuable this area of our work is. I think it's one of the few areas where we really punch beyond our weight in terms of engaging with stakeholders and community and town councils and voluntary sector activists, the length and breadth of the park, occasionally beyond the boundaries of the park, or on the edge, or in divided boundary communities. I think that's all really important. We should share this report, which is beautifully formatted, as widely as possible. I've already pinged it in quite a number of directions, which I hope was in order. And yes, we need to look innovatively at how we can bring additional funds in. The SPF is just another really good example. Particular thanks to, from the management committee of Talgath Town Football Club for the work in relation to the energy conservation, and Barbara has been hugely proactive in that alongside colleagues. So diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much indeed, and let's continue to keep our shoulders to the wheel in this area. Diolch.
Thank you, members. I'm going to ask either Barbara or Gareth or both to respond. You've heard our acclamation and our gratitude. Do you have any final comments before we move to the noting? Thank you.
Oh, I just want to say how grateful I am for all these positive comments. It's really lovely to see the fund acknowledged for the positive force it is, and very grateful for all your support. Diolch yn fawr iawn pawb.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate that members' comments to thank Barbara and Helen for their great work, and it is a very important scheme for us as an authority, and important to communicate the benefits and the good work that's happening.
Yeah, and again, just to close up, I would want to express from the chair our gratitude. I think we've got an amazing team that does brilliant work, and it's good to get these reports. So I presume that we can note then that that this has been brought to us, if that's okay. Thank you, friends. That's great. We now go to item 10.3, which is the Local Access Forum, and I hope that, Catherine's going to do that. Thank you. Thank
you. Yeah, very quickly, this is just for members to note that the Local Access Forum membership has been recruited and refreshed. I think members have been separately advised about the membership. Obviously, this forum is there to advise the Park Authority on the improvement of public access to our land and open air recreation and enjoyment. Obviously, key to our purposes and duty, but it's very much just for noting. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Catherine. Julian, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to reinforce that, reiterate, as the Chair of Planning, obviously I have a role to play in this. We made our decisions back in August, I think, and now they're being ratified through the system. And I'd just like to thank all the members of the Local Access Forum for all the hard work they put in. In the Planning Committee, we see the minutes of their meetings, and we see how active they are. And members may well have seen the portfolios of the different members of the Local Access Forum, which I think have been shared round, and you can see the great wealth of knowledge and experience that we have in that team, and encouraging to know that there are people who really want to engage working with the National Park in this, again, very important issue of our access and our footpaths and our rights of way and all the work that goes on to improve the way people experience the park. So thank you to them, and the experience of being involved in appointing them has been a very positive one. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Julian. Catherine, any comments in closing? Thank you. I take it then that we're all content to note this item of the local Sustainable Development Plan. Thank you. The Local Access Forum appointments. Okay, then. Shall we now go to item 10.4, if my memory serves me right, on the operational policies, if I can. Thank you. Yeah, it's just for noting. Any comments on that one? Are we all? Oh, Craig, diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr. Just a quickie, really. Everything I was looking for in this policy is there, and so it was really set out really well with the bottom line of kind of police and legal action if necessary. I thought it was very clear and empowered officers as well when they're the subject of unreasonable behaviour. So very pleased to see the policy. The one question that was on my mind was, has it been developed and reviewed because there's an increase in unreasonable behaviour? That's the only question I had.
Okay. Catherine, can I ask you to respond to that? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it has been fully consulted on and developed in sort of with officers and with our trade union colleagues. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that yes, it has been developed because there's an increase in unreasonable behaviour. A number of officers have had some quite difficult sort of personal issues, and particularly some of our service. It's very rare, but it is increasing, and we felt that it was important to update the policy to cover those instances where it's happening. I should also say that it covers members as well, of course, as you'll see, and volunteers can raise issues via an officer if they also are the subject of any unreasonable behaviour. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for raising that, Craig. Thank you, Catherine. I will then presume that we're happy to go to noting that report. And then 10.5, which is a summary of consultation responses submitted. Helen is available for response, I understand, or yeah. So it's a standing item for the NPA agenda going forward to summarise consultation responses. Any questions or any feedback on that one? Are we content? Okay, thank you very much. That was dealt with very expeditiously. And now we're going on to, if my eyes see me right, it's 10.6, which is promoting equality and diversity of access National Parks Conference 2024 related work. So, Catherine, if you could just speak to that if you wish to.
Very briefly, again, the report is just for noting. I hope and believe, and it's come up, EDI issues have come up a lot in our conversation so far, which is encouraging. The theme of both the National Parks Wales seminar and the UK National Parks Conference were about inclusivity in its widest sense in terms of access to our parks and to our decision making. So I provided a sort of short digest of the conference and made available the conference materials for members who weren't able to attend, and a suggestion that this was something that we came back to in a development session. So that was really all I wanted to say on that one, Chair, is just making those materials available. Thank you.
Okay. It's a very important issue, and thank you for that clarification. But unless I see any hand, we'll note that if that's okay. Thank you very much. For my part, I understand in item 11 there is no other urgent business that I'm aware of. Just checking around the room. So can I suggest now that for the access to information that we proceed to the recommendation that we go into a closed session, and then after we've taken that vote, if we may, we'll have a 5-minute break. So that we can gather our thoughts before we meet again. So Gemma, can I ask you please to take us through that process and you would read it out to us? Thank you.
Diolch, David. So the recommendation is that pursuant to the provisions of Section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business, which are 12.1 Nutrient Statement, 12.2 Replacement Local Development Plan Delivery Agreement, 12.3 Alternative Office Accommodation, on the grounds that there would be disclosure of them of exempt information as defined in paragraphs 14 and 17 of Part 4 of Schedule 12A of the above Act, and the public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. Can I please ask for a proposer and a seconder? John Hunt, proposer. And seconder, Hugh Williams. Again, I'll run through everybody's names. If you could please state for, against, abstain, and I will note your vote down. So we will start with So just to note that Councillor Scott Emanuel has now left the meeting. So we'll start with Councillor William Powell.
4.
Mr. Craig Stevenson.
Obliged.
Councillor Edwin Roderick. Councillor Gareth Ratcliffe.
4.
Councillor Liam Cowles.
4.
Councillor Hugh Williams.
4.
Councillor Peter James.
4.
Professor John Hunt.
4.
Dr. Liz Bickerton.
4.
Mr. Julian Steadman.
4.
Councillor Andrew Davis.
Obliged.
Councillor Edward Jones.
4.
Canon Aled Edwards.
Obliged.
That's unanimously 4. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So, friends, that being agreed, can I ask us to meet at 11:28 if we could, to give everybody sorry? Yes, yeah. And I thank very much the members of the public for being with us today, but we will now close the formal meeting and we will meet again in 5 minutes at 11:28, if that's okay. Okay, thank you.